How's it going, everyone? Got another PlayStation Plus Premium update for you guys. Looks like another classic title will be making its way on over to the premium platform here shortly, and a bit of an update on Final Fantasy Tactics. It seems like that's the one game that people really want to see it get revitalized from Square Enix. I feel like Square Enix has been doing a lot of things right. I know people have their opinions and their mixed reception for like Final Fantasy 16 and whatnot, but I think Square at least knows what their audience wants. Maybe that is me being a little bit too optimistic, but I do believe that FF Tactics, you guys that want this game really badly, whether it be a new title, whether it be a remake, remaster, I think it'll ultimately happen. We'll talk that at the end of this video, because it's something I feel pretty strongly about. But right off the top, as noted on Push Square, a classic first-party Sony series could be making another return to the limelight, as Medieval has been listed with a PlayStation trophy list. This is on PSN Profiles, a site that scrapes trophy information from the PlayStation Network. A new list has recently popped up for Medieval. Now, Medieval did get a full-on remake on the PlayStation 4. That game wasn't received that well from a review standpoint. I thought it was, like, totally fine. I was surprised that people didn't like that game that much, but again, the remake and this new trophy list has somewhat identical trophy sets. However, it does differ slightly, which suggests that this is this is a new release altogether, and it'll probably be a PlayStation Plus Premium title. This is something that's pretty interesting and a nice addition to the PlayStation Plus Premium catalog. Think about what you want of Premium, but I think for that service to really be successful, Premium, its main drawing card is the Classics catalog. Yes, there are trials, but the trials, let's be real, guys, the trials ain't drawing anybody to sign up for Plus Premium. Really, I do believe it's the Classics catalog. And as I say, the trials don't get anybody to sign up for Premium. Somebody in the comment section, I'm sure it's gonna be like, you know what, that Hogwarts Legacy 45-minute trial really did push me over the edge to sign up for PS Plus Premium. Alright, bro, you got it, but for the most part, I think most people are signing up for Premium for the Classics catalog of title. Really, like, not to go on the tangent here, guys, but what would put Plus Premium over the top? I mean, if we could figure out how to get PS3 backwards compatibility going and you add a catalog of PS3 titles, I'm just saying, you guys, I think that would be pretty effective. But what do I know? Sony's gonna do what Sony's gonna do. There's still a bevy of great PSP titles that they could add, and there was a PSP version of Medieval as well, Medieval Resurrection, so, you know, I would like to see stuff like GTA Chinatown Wars get added, Dissidia Final Fantasy, Crimson Gem Saga, so on and so forth. I feel like there's quite a few good games that they could add. The PSP is super underrated, as I constantly talk about, but nonetheless, let's get some of those titles available. And the PS1 still got a lot of great games. While I think the PS1 catalog is getting bigger and bigger on Plus Premium, of course, there's still a lot of games they could circle back and add to the platform. One of those games could be Final Fantasy Tactics. However, Final Fantasy Tactics will probably get an entirely new release rather than that version getting added to Plus Premium. Now, Final Fantasy Tactics was listed on the GeForce Now leak, which the GeForce Now leak, essentially, that's pretty much as heralded as the Walmart Canada leak from the E3 the one year, right before E3, where it like leaked a lot of the stuff that was going to be announced at E3. Final Fantasy XIV and Final Fantasy XVI producer Naoki Yoshida spoke a little bit about the likelihood of a new Final Fantasy Tactics game, noting, we have a lot of our staff who worked on previous games like Final Fantasy Tactics or Final Fantasy XII, so you're gonna have a lot of that Tactics feel because a lot of the same people are on the team. We're very happy for you to suggest this because we're all fans, but if we were going to make this, we wouldn't want to do the same story that turns out to be a different story. How would we even do the icon versus icon battles in that style? If you have the icons, how many squares is an icon going to be? You have more people out there as well, so what about the wait time in between? But the series does lend itself well to that kind of storytelling, and we love Tactics as well. It's probably about time that we do a new one. How about that? Look, I really do believe, and maybe this is me giving Square Enix too much credit, but I really do believe, generally speaking, us as video game players, and maybe humans in general, we just don't have enough faith in our contemporaries, in various human beings that run businesses. I do think Square Enix has their fingers somewhat on the pulse of what the consumer wants. Look, at the end of the day, these are all businesses, and I understand why a Sony goes down the live service route, even though, like, I thought it was gonna be a train wreck, and Square Enix went down the live service route as well, and I thought that wasn't gonna work out all too well. But they're also a business, but at the same time, they're balancing what they hear from people based on, you know, people like me, people like you guys talking on social media. I'm not saying Yoshida is spending all his time on X and, you know, watching YouTube videos about random people doing commentaries about what they want to see, but I'm sure word gets back to him, and I'm sure there's word that gets to a lot of Square Enix employees and workers, and they know, generally speaking, what the fan base wants. And look at the titles that Square Enix has dropped over the last few years. They've dropped stuff like Tactics Ogre Reborn. They dropped stuff like Crisis Core FF7 Reunion. They dropped stuff like Star Ocean Second Story Aura. These are all fringe titles. Crisis Core is a little bit bigger, but Tactics Ogre and Star Ocean Second Story Aura, those are games that there's a core audience of people that wanted. But I don't think that I would go to those games and be like, hey, those are games that obviously deserve to see a remaster. So why hasn't Final Fantasy Tactics gotten a remaster? Why hasn't it gotten a new title? I think part of that is because you don't want to unload everything at once. You had Final Fantasy 16 drop in the summer of last year. You had Crisis Core drop in late 2022. You had Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth drop earlier this year. There's rumblings about a Final Fantasy 9 remaster. You want to space all of these titles out, and you want to give these games time in the oven to cook and get them in a state where you're delivering the best product possible. So spam releasing all of these games, I don't think is that good of an idea. I think FF Tactics would be a major release. Let's say it would be a brand new title. That's a major release, and you don't want that to coincide. Let that cook in the oven, let that get to a point where it's ready, and then release it when it is ready. But you know, based on the titles that Square Enix has been putting out, I really do believe they are trying their best to listen to the audience. And you look at stuff like FF7 finally getting a remake. Look, people had wanted that for years and years, and they finally ultimately did do that. Crisis Core, Tactics Ogre, Star Ocean, like, these are games that the hardcore Square Enix fans and the hardcore JRPG fans, they want all of those games, so obviously they sense that, and I'm sure they sense it with Final Fantasy Tactics as well, and I'm sure it's ultimately going to happen at some point. I do think there would be a lot of money in a new Tactics title, but I also think there's a lot of money in doing something with War of the Lions, or doing something with Final Fantasy A2. There's a lot of potential as far as what type of Final Fantasy Tactics content you put out, and I do think it'll ultimately happen. I think we need to have a little bit of faith in Square Enix. We're getting a new Mana game as well. I feel like Square Enix, all things considered, I feel like they're doing a pretty good job. Again, I know people had their mixed reception towards Final Fantasy 16. Like, I absolutely love that game, but I certainly get it. A simplified action game may not be what everybody wanted out of Final Fantasy, but I also know that's a game that drew in a new audience to Final Fantasy. You know, anecdotally speaking, I can't say for the overarching, you know, large majority of consumers if it did draw in like a large amount of new players, but I do know, as far as personal friends go, a lot of my friends that had no interest in Final Fantasy in the past checked out 16 and really enjoyed it. But you know, you've got the FF7 remake trilogy coming out as well. You've got Mana titles. You've got PSP games like Tactics Ogre Reborn. I know that's a PS1 game, but you got the idea. A PSP remaster getting a upgraded release. You're getting Crisis Core. You're getting Star Ocean. Like, you're getting a lot of titles seeing these releases, and even stuff like Dio Field Chronicle. I thought that game was okay. I thought Valkyrie Elysium was okay. You know, not everything's gonna be a home run, but I feel like for the core Square Enix audience, they are dropping a lot of titles that I feel like you can sink your teeth into, and I'm sure FF Tactics is coming at some point, especially when they allude to stuff like this. Usually they know more. I'm sure Yoshida is very well aware of when FF Tactics is going to get a release, whether it be a remaster, whether it be a new title, and I'm sure he's going to be a little bit coy about it, of course, because he can't unveil information that Square Enix hasn't publicly unveiled. But when you read between the lines, obviously they're working on something, and especially with that GeForce Now leak that happened, that leak, again, as credible as that Walmart Canada leak. But that'll do it for me. Again, Medieval looking to be getting added to PS Plus Premium, potentially the PS1 Original, and Final Fantasy Tactics, guys, I'm sure it'll be coming at some point, and, you know, hopefully we just see an announcement by the end of the year, because I think a lot of us were expecting to get it last year. But that'll do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.